Hello, hello, hello. Kumusta? I'm Bibi Bagunawa, your hottie with the horns, your internet mom without a firstborn. I'm your moon-eating, fortune-telling dragon from the West Philippine Sea. My name is Bibi, but you can call me Mommy. Good morning, good morning. Hi, friends. How was your sleep? Did you sleep well? Personally, I was sick since last night, so my voice might be a little different today because, oh well, I think I have an infection in the throat. I'm not really sure. I'm just basing it off the fact that my throat kind of hurts when I swallow. But I think I am well enough to do our, little chit chat about tarot, the myths, the misconceptions, and other things like how do you start tarot reading? Where do we begin? Yes, Magindara. I'm your internet mom without a firstborn because everyone calls me mommy. I saw maybe a good chunk of your stream from last night. Not just the part where everyone was screaming mommy about me, even the part about me, no? Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the chat, the Radio Mansion. Oh, Alonso. I see. I think you have seen my tweet about watching Doctor Who from last night. Doctor Who is one of my favorite absolute. I love that show. Specifically the reboot because there's an original Doctor Who like way back when television was still black and white. I couldn't quite get into it mostly because, why would I when there is colored version? Yes, wibbly wobbly timey wimey. Oh no, all these references. All David Tennant. I love him so much. Anyway, how are y'all? Who's your favorite doctor? I would say mine is Tennant, 10, but that is debatable because I received most heartbreak and pain from 11. Just thinking about it makes me want to cry. But yeah, I've started watching it again, and when I say again, I mean this isn't the first or the second time I'm watching the series. I've started watching it again with some friends, Mino and Myon. I think Aya was watching with us last night too before she went and did her stream. Right. He was so much fun. 11 is, but he hurt me so much. All the pain, Rory. Anyway, I should not cry about fictional characters today because our topic for today is tarot myths and misconceptions. So, things that a lot of the masses believe about tarot cards, tarot reading, and how it happens. So, 10 and 12. I think 10 and 12 are heartbreaking as well. All of them are in a way. But I've just become more attached to the people 11 was with. And so when, I'm not going to say spoilers, when those things happened, I was devastated. I was really, really devastated, especially, the thing about Amy. Amy, my baby, my girl. Anyway, let me go back to our topic, which is again tarot myths and misconceptions. And since we are doing a list today, I have decided to do it by writing on the board because I didn't really have time to make a PowerPoint presentation. Also, um, yeah, it's easier to do it this way. I was also supposed to play Minecraft while discussing this, but since I was sick since last night, I don't think playing a lot of Minecraft will be good for me because I know myself. I don't have self control when it comes to playing Minecraft. The last time I streamed Minecraft, I think I started at around 9 or 10 in the morning, and then I finished at 2 p.m. I forgot to eat lunch. I forgot to keep track of the time. And so we're not doing Minecraft while discussing these things. We're going to focus. So we're having a little classroom moment in here. So let me just get to my... There we go. So tarot myths. I've only listed down 11. Fitting because we were just talking about 11 earlier. But if you have any other questions, I am willing to answer all of them. For background, I've started reading tarot 10 years ago. It was, I don't know, how would I describe it? Basically, before we start this, just a little, chit chat about how I started reading tarot and all that. So 10 years ago, I'm really old. I wasn't young then. I was already, off legal age. So don't, don't try to do maths with my age right now. But, so, the story is, I was with some friends. I was hanging out at a friend's house, and this friend's house, she lived with her sisters and aunt because she was studying in QC at that time. So we were in QC, we hung out at her house. Maybe I was cutting classes, maybe I wasn't, who knows? Anyway, I found her aunt's deck of cards just laying around in one of the shelves, and I didn't know back then that people didn't like it when you touch their tarot cards. At least some. I'm not really very particular about other people touching my cards. I'll get into that a little later. So I took her cards and I played with it. And by play, I mean I didn't know anything about reading cards. I just know what they are. I may or may not have had tarot readings before. Like, I go to Quiapo sometimes for funsies and get tarot readings because it's cheap there. I think back then, tarot readings are around 100 or 200. It depends. But the thing is, yeah, I touched someone's tarot cards without permission, and I started doing readings for my friends who were there with me at that moment. And oddly, these friends said that, oh, my readings were kind of accurate, and I was just basically fucking around. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was like hitting the stuff that was actually happening. So that kind of gave me the push to do tarot readings. And prior to that, I've always been interested in the occult. For some reason, I don't know why, when I was a child, I found a book on ceremonial magic. And since I was a child, like a literal child with no idea about what ceremonial magic is, I thought it was a book about magic tricks. And so I started doing the ceremonial magic thingy, the visualizations, without actually knowing what they're for. As a little child, I might have opened gates that I shouldn't have. But the thing is, I've always been, interested, and I have this affinity for the occult. Also, before I started reading tarot cards, I've been having, like, what prophetic dreams are? Like, you dream about something and then later on they would happen in real life. It's kind of like that. So it doesn't happen like all the damn time. Like I have a friend that, has more clear visions than me, like literally the definition of psychic, but she doesn't do that now. She kept herself busy. Oh, that's another thing that you should note, that psychic abilities and gifts, they are innate to all of us. Some are just more attuned to it, but if you don't pay attention to it, if you don't accept it, most of the time it would gradually wane, like, a muscle that you don't use. It starts losing power. But the good thing about this is that, since it's kind of like a muscle, you just need to practice. So if you don't think that you have psychic gifts and ability, honey, we all do. You just need practice and concentration. We are going to talk more about that later. Okay. Where was I? I keep on talking and I keep on forgetting what I was supposed to say. Oh, yeah. So that is my background. And then when I got into tarot reading, I first, well, of course, at first I didn't really charge people for readings because I was just beginning. I'm a self-taught tarot reader. I'm mostly an intuitive, meaning I don't just base on the meanings that books and other sources give me. I have my own set of meanings on top of that, and there's this thing called intuitive hits. That's what I call it. Like, you just know that this is the case. It's not exactly in the card. It might be related because it is the situation that you were reading, but the traditional meaning of the cards don't really say the things on your mind. So I'm that type of reader. I don't really just read you the textbook meaning of each card. But not all readers are the same. So it might be a little different for you. So in the beginning, I didn't really charge people. I believe that I shouldn't be charging for this thing because it's just a hobby for me. But around, wait, what year was that? Maybe 2014? Someone someone who was like contacting me for business reasons. I used to sell things in OLX. Now I think it's now called Carousel. So someone was contacting me because I was selling some decks in OLX, and they were buying my decks. Then this person wanted to get a tarot reading from me, like a paid tarot reading, and I'm like, sir, I don't really do paid tarot card readings. I just do this for fun. I sell tarot decks for, for extra stuff, because at that time I was still in college. Business was not doing well on the family side, so I had to do some things. I was working while studying, and it's one of the things that I did. I sold tarot cards along with collectors dolls. my my hobbies were a big part of what I earned back then. So they were saying that no, I think you can. Like, they were basically saying, take my money and read tarot cards for me. That transaction didn't push through, and I'm not sure why, but I think it has to do with the distance, because I was in Quezon City at that time and they were near MOA, I think, which is very far if you don't really have your own car. Mass transportation, not really fun back then. So that kind of gave me the intuitive idea or hit that, hey, maybe I should be charging for this, because spoiler alert, Tarot card reading is not just something you learn mechanically, it involves some energies and stuff like that. We will be discussing it later on. So now let us start with tarot misconceptions. The first misconception or myth that I would like to debunk is that tarot cards are evil. Wait, let me just get there. I think tarot is evil. This view is not really that common elsewhere. It's mostly here in the Philippines. Because, we are a very deeply Catholic country. So anything that doesn't align with the Catholic Church is seen as something that is a tool of the devil. And I think they're citing some passages in the Bible. I'm not quite sure which ones they are. But yeah, people think that it is evil because they're saying that the insight is not from God, because you know how in Catholicism, Christianity in general, they believe in prophets, and those prophets are like anointed or chosen by God. God appears before them, or an angel appears before them to give them insight, to give them foresight, knowledge about the future. And so anything that doesn't fit in that category, people tend to think that it's evil. Oh, claw cards! Yeah, he might have mistaken it for tarot cards, because yes, a lot of people here in our country still think that tarot cards are tools of the devil. And I think, aside from us being a Catholic country, it's also the fault of the media, because they are portraying tarot readings as something where you can read about your own death, or it can get possessed, things like that, just like the Ouija board. You know what? I've been planning to buy claw cards. It's good that you reminded me, because yeah, I'm kind of weird like that. I use other cards for oracle cards. So last time that we discussed tarot, I think I have already explained the difference between tarot cards and oracle cards. Basically, tarot cards are they have a certain they have certain rules about its the cards. Like, it has to be 78, there has to be a major arcana, a minor arcana. The major arcana should be 22, and they have specific names. But for oracle cards, all of that goes out of the window. It's a free for all. You can make your own oracle cards, and I think personally claw cards can be used as oracle cards. And I think I have seen people who have even used Pokemon cards. I might have tried it once as well, but it just doesn't vibe with me. I've been also planning to buy Dixit cards, but there's a lot of them. It's gonna be a bitch to shuffle. But yeah, claw cards and Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Um, I think that wouldn't be a far off assumption. I'm pretty sure somewhere out there a mother is telling her son to stop playing Yu-Gi-Oh because it's the work of the devil. Because it's similar to tarot. It's cards, and the designs are they're dragons, right? So those types of imagery, they tend to demonize. Anyway, yes, so tarot cards are not evil. They're just basically cards, paper printed with images, and there's nothing inherently evil about them. I've been reading tarot cards for at least a decade now, and I have yet to encounter anything evil from tarot cards. If anything, They are a tool that you use for light, for clarity, getting insight for things that are currently unclear. So I wouldn't say that tarot cards are evil. They're just, something that you use for divination. You have fallen for my trap card. Change of heart. Turn your back on the Jesus worship enemy. No! So that is the first myth that I would like to clear up for anyone who is listening and doesn't really have much background on tarot cards and have been hearing this type of thing from mostly older men and women in their families. So tarot card, not really the work of the devil. It's just basically cardstock and ink. So there's nothing evil about it. Number 2, you can't buy your own deck. Okay, I was trying to write on my OBS. I realized that, I'm writing on my... Okay, let's write it down. You can't buy your own deck. Now, this is something that is propagated mostly for people to gatekeep. So this is a very gatekeepy statement because the rationale behind it is that you must wait for someone to gift you a deck of cards, and that means that you have been chosen by the universe. That oh, hard label of people on minimum wage. I see. Oh, am I that friend? I've been buying a lot, so this is definitely just a statement to gatekeep who and who does not read tarot cards. Because, as you know, tarot cards are a thing that interests a lot of people, and this is something that, old readers used to say because they didn't like that a lot of people were reading cards because they would lose business. Or, they wanted to feel special, that they were chosen. So, the usual explanation to this is that they're saying that your first deck of cards need to be gifted by another reader because they feel that you have powers to read the cards and that you must read it because it's your calling, blah blah blah. And the thing about that is that, first of all, tarot cards are fucking expensive. Let me get that right out of the window. Tarot cards are fucking expensive. Tarot card readers, we don't really earn much from it. Well, except if you are like some sort of celebrity, and then you will have like a ton of clients and you can charge high. But most of us, we don't really earn much from this thing. It's basically a losing game for us, buying all these tarot decks. So expecting someone to buy you an expensive deck is kind of a great expectation for the universe. And the universe doesn't even understand the concept of, being expensive or the amount of money. So this is just pure bollocks, pure bullshit. Don't believe it. If you want to read tarot cards, buy your own damn cards. Don't wait for the universe to gift you with one. Because again, tarot cards are expensive. Don't just wait for someone else to shoulder that expense for you. So for reference, when I say tarot cards are expensive, I mean it from the standpoint of like being here in the Philippines because, money works differently if you're elsewhere. So the average amount or like cost of tarot decks that I've seen are like around 1,200, 1,300. That is like the regular run of the mill Rider Waite deck. There are more, there are cheaper decks, so those run at around 800, 700, 600, depending on the producer and how well made they are. If you go on sites like Shopee or Lazada, you will find decks that are much cheaper, like around 300, 200. I would just warn you about those though. I don't really discriminate whether your cards are original or made by a Chinese sweatshop. It's just that if you buy those cheaper cards, you must know that you are buying fakes. So the original artists and publisher don't get the money that they have worked for. So that's something to keep in mind, because tarot card reading is also energy work, and sometimes you would want to get cards that don't have that weight on you. Like, oh, I'm using cards that are made by sweatshop workers and it's basically stolen. So, yes, but if you're a student, like you don't have enough money but you want to learn about reading tarot cards, I wouldn't really judge anyone who buys those. It's like it's basically like those people who would pirate software. You're pirating software not because you want it. You're pirating it because you couldn't afford it, and you're trying to learn. You're a student. I'm not in any way promoting piracy, but I'm just saying that I'm not judging you if you do buy basically bootleg or knockoff tarot cards. So, yeah, but when you are earning from tarot card reading, I would highly recommend that you buy a tarot deck that is quote unquote original, like the ones produced by those who have rights to do so. So, yeah, buy your own decks. Don't let the older people tell you that, you're not chosen by the universe to read tarot cards. I highly doubt that those people who read it in, let's say, Quiapo or anywhere else waited for anyone to, nearly croak to get their tarot card decks. Even in Quiapo, they're actually selling tarot decks. I'm not sure about how original those decks are, but yeah, that's the thing. They're selling decks there. They don't really mind, and neither should we. Okay, let's move on to the third one. The third one is that, okay, this is another gatekeeping statement. Only psychics can read tarot. So here's the thing about the word psychic. I think over time, the word psychic has, it has evolved because the mainstream media portrays psychics as someone who are like, these bohemian types with turbans on their heads, using crystal ball and having visions. Like, if you've watched Harry Potter, Professor, what's her name? Is it Cassandra, or is her mom Cassandra? I forgot. Anyway, there's a professor there who is a quote unquote psychic. So let's define what a psychic is. So, a psychic is a person who claims to use extrasensory perception to get information that are like you don't really see it or hear it with your normal eyes or ears. This could range from clairvoyance, telepathy, blah blah blah. So it's a very, very wide term. And as I was saying earlier, all of us have psychic gifts. all of us are intuitive by nature. And it just comes down to what type of gifts do you have? And this might lead us to discussing the clair senses. Okay, what are clair senses? So, I think a lot of us are kind of familiar with the term clairvoyant, and that is what we mostly associate with the word psychic. So, clairvoyance is not the only psychic gift that a person can have. Usually, you would have like multiple of them, uh, slightly developed. It varies from person to person. Clairvoyance is when you see things like visions from the past, the present, the future. So you see those events through your mind's eye. So this is what they usually mean when they mean psychic. But here's the thing, clairvoyance is not the only thing that people have. Clairvoyance just means clear seeing. There are also other senses. So the other ones are clairaudience, clairsentience, clair aliens, clairgustance, claircognizance, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Basically, it's your senses, but in a psychic kind of way. So you're not using your eyes to see things when you see visions as a clairvoyant. In the same way, you don't really hear things physically with sound waves where you're clairaudient. It just means that you hear words, sounds, or music in your mind's voice. So all of us, we have these types of things. Personally, I'm more on the clairsentient type of reader, or clear feeling, and claircognizance, meaning clear knowing. So what are those two? So clairsentience, so that means that your emotions are not entirely your own. You are aware or conscious of other people's emotions. You have a strong gut feeling, whether that is positive or negative. Like when you meet someone, you just get the chills for no apparent reason, stuff like that. There were times when I'm doing tarot card readings where I'd be like, oh shit, I want to throw up. I can feel the excitement from this guide spirit that the person I'm reading for has, and they're very bouncy and they're very annoying. Sorry if I had to say they're annoying, but yeah, they're very, very animation and sports protagonist kind of energy, and I could feel that physically. Claircognizance, on the other hand, means clear knowing, so you'll just know things. Like, there is no natural explanation to it. Like, for example, I was reading for this person, and I'm just like going through her cards, and I'm like, hey, I think you have chemical imbalance. And of course, those things are not really exactly in the cards. It's just that I just know. So those are the clair senses, and those are all psychic abilities that we all have. It just varies on the degree of development. So not everyone would be clearly seeing visions. Yeah. So when you say only psychics can read tarot, wait, I didn't write the D. So again, when you say only psychics can read tarot, surprise, we are all psychics in our own way. We just need to develop which gifts we are most comfortable with, those that are already semi-developed even without us doing anything. Also, again, only psychics can read tarot is a very, very gatekeepy statement. It's meant to keep the newbies away. And I think it's also partly because of how again, mainstream media portrays tarot card readers. So not all of us have, long bohemian skirts, off-shoulder dresses, Esmeralda type of vibe, and a turban, eyeliner that goes all around, and yeah, not everyone is like that. Although that is also a choice that you might want to do for yourself if you become a tarot card reader. Not everyone is like that. For example, me, I'm a regular teacher. Like there are teachers, even artists. I've met a lot of types of people who have a different job. Like for example, I have a friend who is more on the IT side of things. They all read tarot cards and they all look different. They look like normal people. We don't all look like Hollywood caricatures. And everyone is a psychic, even if they don't look like it, basically. Our next tarot misconception is number 4. Let me just write. You shouldn't charge, or you shouldn't earn money from reading tarot. So I've heard this mostly from people who know nothing about tarot card reading. They justify it by saying that tarot card reading is a psychic gift. Again, it is not. It is a process that you learn. They're saying that it's a psychic gift from God or a higher power, so you shouldn't charge people for it. You shouldn't be earning for it because you got this gift for free. And to counter that, no, you don't. You don't get this gift for free. You work for it. You study the cards. You buy your own cards. You devote a huge chunk of your life getting better at your craft. And so when they say it should be for free, they just mean that they should get it for free. Okay? This is a very cheapskate kind of mindset. Hello, Myon! Hi, good morning, good morning, good morning. I am just discussing tarot myths and misconceptions, and we are now at number 4. You shouldn't charge for tarot readings, or you shouldn't earn from it. It's kind of an outdated thing, and it also banks on the psychics. Only psychics can read tarot cards. Again, anyone can use tarot cards. You can learn it. It is an art, it is a craft. You get better at it through time. You should practice. Also, it takes time and energy, so it's just like any other jobs, wherein, you put time in and effort in and you get money out of it sometimes, depending on you. Again, I would like to go back to my story from earlier, wherein I used to not charge for readings because I was only doing it for fun. I was just a hobbyist. And there was this one guy I met in Cubao Expo, and he was holding tarot cards, and so was I. And he was like asking me if anyone was teaching me, and if I have what are my rates. And I told him that I don't have a teacher, or whatever you call that, a mentor, and I also don't charge. And he looked at me like I was a fool. And later on I realized that he was right, because here's the thing: when you are being given something for free, you tend to just take it for granted. A lot of people will line up asking for tarot card readings because it's free. It costs them nothing. But as soon as they get the reading, they forget about it. They don't really think about the advice that you gave them. they would only take away the nice things, the things that feel good for them, and think, it's probably not true, it's just for fun. But if you are charging them for the reading, they become more conscious about what they are purchasing. So there's going to be less people trying to ask readings from you if they know that they have to pay. But also at the same time, those people who do still ask for a reading knowing that they will pay, they tend to pay attention more because, they paid for it, and therefore they must get the most out of the product that they are paying for. And they also tend to follow your advice more because it has more weight, because you're a what? A professional. You're not just some hobbyist. But again, if your thing is just, I want to learn tarot card reading for myself, just for fun, go ahead. It's not something that I would go against, because that used to be me a long, long time ago. But at the same time, we shouldn't really expect people to give their services for free. Another thing is that, you're wasting, well, not wasting, but like you're spending time and energy from it. So remember when I said earlier that I had this reading with a client, and they had a very, very, what do you call this? A very, very hyperactive, very, very shonen manga protagonist type of energy spirit guide. Yeah, those things kind of happen. And if you are doing this enough of times, you would realize that it is very, very draining. You think you're just sitting there looking at cards and telling a story to your client, but no, in fact, it is more draining than most jobs that I do. Like, if I teach, I would maybe I would get a sore throat because that would take hours, or maybe I would get blisters because I have to stand, or basically I will just be tired of children at the end of the day. But when you are doing tarot card reading, even if you are not moving physically, you will be very, very tired. You must take precautions to protect your energy. And yes, those kinds of things, you learn them through time, through experience. And if you're not charging, you're just letting people use your precious energy and time, and they will not even really pay attention to it because you gave it for free. They think it's just for fun and games. Another thing is that there are people who believe in a law of exchange that takes place. So when you give something, you ought to also get something back, so in return. Hence, therefore, in a tarot card reading, you give them advice that the cards are sending through them, and in return, you get paid, and that's if something that you want. Again, if you want to do this for fun, nothing wrong about that. But again, do not expect tarot card readers to do this thing for free, because it is expensive, it takes time, it takes years to master. And until now, I believe I am still learning. It's a never-ending process of learning your tarot cards, because if you have more than one deck, you would realize that, they kind of have a different feel to them. They attack things differently. There's different symbols. So you would study again. You would study this other deck. And I have a lot of decks. I did not really count, but I think I have shown like my shelf to some friends, and it's overflowing. So that's a lot of studying. Oh, thank you for the hydrate redeem. Where is my water? Oh yeah, my mic still has reverb. This is the regular reverb. I guess it just sounds a little reverbier today. I'm not really sure, but this is my regular setting. Again, thank you for the hydrate. Let's move on to item number 5 of our tarot myths. The fifth thing Cards are magic. Okay. Let me just write this down. Hold on, where are? So the cards themselves don't really have magic in them. Again, it is cardstock with ink printed and laminated sometimes, and that's about it. The images, they don't really have powers as well. So, what has powers? How do you get the reading? Where do you get it from? It's from the symbolism and it's from your intuition. So, you, as the reader, the power is within you. It's not in the cards because, again, the cards don't have magic in them the same way that they are not evil because they are just cards. But the thing about this is that I'm not really sure if any of you are doing tarot card readings, but those who do would agree if you say that different decks have different personalities. It's kind of weird putting it like that. So a lot of us have a different deck for different purposes. So for example, there are decks that some readers might use only for themselves. There are decks that they would use if the person really needs a slap in the face. Like these are the hard, cold truths because the deck was made that way, or at least it has that type of energy that it would just tell you things without the sugar coating. Or there are decks that feel more like friendly. It's not because they have magic, it's just that the energy that flows through them, so they themselves are not inherently magical, the energy that flows through them are just kind of built like that. Maybe it's the way that the artist or the creator of the cards have intended it to. So yeah, cards definitely not magical. Don't expect them to do the floaty thing. I have a favorite GIF though. Wait, where is that? Let me look for it. I say that cards are not magic, but uh, one of my favorite GIFs is of this music video of this K-pop group called Pristine. They're not a thing anymore. But Kyla, one of the group members, is shown with tarot cards. Hold on, let me just open new link and then... Oh no. How do I... Okay, let me just download the thing and I'll show it to you. Alright, here we go. I hope it plays. So, yeah, this thing. Yeah, that doesn't happen. This is just purely something that is out of Hollywood tropes and stereotypes. I still feel a little sick, so that's why my voice is kind of different, but I think I'm well enough to just discuss this. I just won't play Minecraft because I was planning to play Minecraft while I'm discussing all these, but again, I realized that when I play Minecraft, I forget things, I forget time, and that's not going to be good for me. So, yeah, again, this thing, the thing that she does, the floaty thingies, no, that doesn't happen. If that happens, you might have poltergeists, ghosts, or whatever in your houses. Get it checked, honey. These things don't float on their own. They're not magical. Hello, customer service. My tarot is flying again. Oh. Do I want to semi-dox myself? I like this GIF because, first of all, tarot cards. Second of all, a lot of friends have been telling me IRL that this girl kind of resembles me. Uh, Even my ex-boyfriend agrees. So I'm not sure where that's coming from. But yeah, if you want to know what mommy BB looks like, just look up Kristen. Hold on, let me just erase this or take it out. Okay, let's go back. Now, number 6. Tarot myths. Number 6 is that there are very specific rituals that you have to do when you are reading the tarot. Like, I've heard things like, oh, you're not supposed to touch someone's cards because your energy might stain it, or that you have to shuffle it this amount of times, cut it this amount of times. You know what? Do your own thing. A lot of readers usually do the overhand shuffle, like you just put them on one hand and then pull some cards in the middle, and then you put those on top, and you keep on doing that until it's shuffled. And they don't like to do the poker deck shuffle, like casino shuffle. I'm not sure what it's called anymore, but you know, the thing that you do in casinos where it's like making this crisp sound. Let me just get my deck of cards and let you know what I'm talking about. Can you hear the dogs? They're screaming outside. Hold on, let me just lower my mic so that you can hear it. So this type of shuffling. Okay, is this ASMR enough? I don't know. So I do that, and a lot of tarot card readers would cringe, but not because it is a ritual that everyone should follow. It's just that, again, tarot cards are kind of expensive and therefore they want to take care of their cards. But personally, I think a little wear and tear on the cards doesn't hurt anybody. If the cards get bent or creased, you know, it just adds to the charm. Some people even buy cards that are like purposely made to look older because it gives them more of the vibe that they're going for. So yeah, you do you. Rituals, the only ritual that I would suggest are protection rituals, because again, you have to protect your energy, because tarot card reading is energy work, and therefore, to prevent the thing that I'm saying earlier, the thing where you just feel very, very tired, you have to have some sort of ritual to protect yourself, to purify your space. I cannot give you an exact ritual how to do it because it would be different from person to person. So I can only tell you about what I personally do. So personally, for me, if I will do a tarot card reading, I would usually try to purify the space by lighting up some incense and try to purify myself as well, like taking a bath or a shower, washing my hands, things like that. And then I would visualize, and there are certain hand motions that I do. I don't know where I got it from, but for some reason I found that it is a thing suggested by this other light worker. So I'm like just kind of surprised that it's not something that is unique to me. It's like I just do it because I feel like I need to do it. So, you know, again, with the clear cognizant thingy that I was telling you about earlier, like there are just things that you know without knowing why you know them, because you were not given specific instructions, or you know, you didn't read it anywhere. So it's kind of like that. My ritual is like a certain hand movement, and then when it comes to handling the cards, I prefer to shuffle them until it feels right. Usually for me that would be 3 or 7 times. I do the casino shuffle because, again, I do not feel good about the overhand thing unless the cards are totally difficult to handle, because there are cards that will be bigger than your hands and it would be difficult to do the casino shuffle. And there are also cards that are shaped oddly. So, for example, I have cards that are round. It's hard to do the poker kind of shuffle thingy. So, I have no choice but either to just mush them around my table or do the overhand shuffle. But again, this ritual is just for me. For you, it could be very different. I've read someone who just throws the cards on the table and then picks one out. There are people who like lay their cards like in a fan on the table, and they would ask their client to pick a number of cards from it. So yeah, everyone is different. For me, it's just shuffling the cards, and then if I have the client face to face with me, I would ask them to cut the cards 3 times with their non-dominant hand, and then I would put it back together and start the reading. So yeah, rituals, none of them really matter like how you do it. It's a personal preference, and you would know what feels right to you. Hold on, we are at number 7. Okay, number 7 might be a little weird to you. So, the purpose of tarot is to tell the future. So, this isn't quite exactly wrong, but it is incomplete. It's an incomplete understanding of the tarot. So the purpose of the tarot is not just to tell you about the future. It's just part of what it can do for you. You can use the tarot to look at the past, the present, and the future. Basically, it is a form of divination. This form of divination is called cartomancy, using cards, any type of cards, in this case, tarot, to divine knowledge that is not easily seen through regular means. Now, a lot of people fixate on reading about the future because I know we want to be ahead or like prepared at least. And it's always more fun to think about, oh, I know what will happen, blah, blah, blah. But here's the thing, the future is not something that is set in stone. It's an ongoing thing. So, for example, if I read for you and you ask me, will you pass the exam? I will be reading that in terms of the energy right now. So usually, if you have studied well and you are doing the right things in your class, the cards might tell me that yes, you will pass the exam. But when I read that for you and you started thinking, oh, I wouldn't study anymore, that I can pass the exam without doing it because that's in my future, that's what the card reader said, then that would drastically change your future. That means that, oh, you're not studying anymore, you might fail. That's the thing about reading the future. It's just a possible future depending on the energies surrounding you and inside of you. And the main goal of reading the future when it comes to tarot cards is for you to change it or for you to stay on course if you're already doing the right things. So, for example, if you say that, oh, I have this guy that I am dating and I'm planning to propose to him or anything of that sort, will things go well? And then the tarot cards tell you that, things are not gonna go well because you have done this and this and this. You must deal with these other things first. Like maybe you have other responsibilities that you need to work on first before thinking about moving on to a relationship or like getting married, blah blah blah. The cards will tell you that it's not a good idea right now. There is that quantifier right now. But after you have succeeded in like completing all the other stuff, the answer might be different. So you are not getting your cards read just so that you know what will happen. You're getting your cards read specifically because you want to know what might happen and you can be prepared for it. It's like having an advantage because you can see 3 steps ahead. So when you are walking and you can see that there is a manhole from far away, you wouldn't just walk on ahead and fall into that manhole, right? You're going to go around it. And that also applies here. If you can see that things are not doing well, you have the power to change it. You have all the free will and power to change your future. The past is kind of different because it's already in the past. We can't really do anything about it, but we still read about it because the past affects the present and the future. There are things that might have happened in the past that we have taken for granted, but turns out to be something that is significant to the things that are happening to us right now. And when I say the past, I don't just mean the past that happened to you in this lifetime. There are readings that I do. I also do past life readings because there might be like issues from the past that you haven't learned your proper lesson from that lifetime, and the issues are continuing in this lifetime. So sometimes I have to tell clients that this issue has been like going on for several lifetimes now, and if you want to actually move on and basically learn something else, you have to fix it in this lifetime. Or, just do whatever you like. Have the same problems over and over and over again. It wouldn't matter to me. But since you're having this reading, I have the obligation to tell you that this is an issue and this is something you should fix. So yeah, that's why we are reading about the past. Also, we read about the present. Because personally, when you are in that situation, it's kind of hard to see. You get this kind of tunnel vision and you focus on things. It's hard to get like a clear view from a different perspective. And sometimes you need someone to tell you from an outsider's point of view, someone who doesn't have the same biases as you, that, hey, this is what you're currently doing and this is not good for you. You should do this instead if you want to, or you should look into this aspect of your life because there are problems in it that you might be ignoring. So that is why we also read about the present. So again, the purpose of tarot is not just to look into the future, it's also looking into the past and the present. And honestly, it's a great way to study about your own mental health. Like, I would always suggest that you go to a proper, like, mental health expert, but going to a tarot card reader who knows what they're actually doing is kind of like, a first aid to that. Because when we are very, very emotional, we tend to overlook a lot of things that are going on, and we focus on certain things and we blame people, we blame things, ourselves. And getting a tarot card reading gives us a new perspective on that. Hold on, let's see. Let me just close some of my tabs. Okay, we are now at number 8. Okay, tarot card readings are 100% accurate. So, right off the bat, I am telling you they are not. So, let's just write that. So here's the thing about tarot card reading. Uh, Tarot card readers are humans, and humans are not infallible. They will have shortcomings, and there are many different meanings to the card. And sometimes, if your reader is not experienced enough, or they are still relying on the meanings and not really confident about their intuition yet, you will tend to have a very limited reading, because they're just going to tell you what they can see, and if they can't see it yet, they cannot tell you about it. It's just like in astrology. There are many thoughts, as means schools of thoughts in astrology. So a person who reads astrology in the Western school of thought would have a different reading, a slightly different reading from someone who was doing Vedic astrology, because they studied it differently. And that also applies in tarot card reading. So we have different ways to study it, and we have different ways on doing it. And sometimes, the readings can be incomplete depending on how experienced your reader is. And even if they're very, very experienced, there will be times that they cannot see everything. Mostly because there are times that the querent, or the person asking for the reading, doesn't want to give information about what's going on. Like, for example, if I give you a reading about your job and I know absolutely nothing about your job, the reading would be kind of vague. Like, I wouldn't know the technical terms. I wouldn't know what numbers in your jobs mean. Like, I used to do that type of reading with a certain friend of mine, and I'm like, I know nothing about banking. I know nothing about these types of projects, but this is what I can tell you. And when it comes to that, it is very important for the querent to listen very carefully to their reader and interpret what they're saying into what is happening in their life, because the reader is not experiencing your life the way you do, so they don't know the same things you do. This is kind of different for those who have very well developed psychic abilities, because again, they might have downloads, quote unquote, or hits of things that are not exactly in the cards, like the one that I told you earlier. Like, I didn't really see it in the card. Usually that card that I was holding at that time would mean, like, what do you call this, urinary tract problems or drinking problems. It could also mean, like, being friends with a lot of people, partying, blah blah blah. But at that time, I just knew that, oh, I think you have a hormonal imbalance and it's playing into this. So those types of reading, you hit it head on, not because it's in the cards. It's more on your intuition. That is why I really suggest that new readers try to work with their intuition, because you get more accurate readings with that. And even then, it's not always going to be 100% accurate. This also circles back to the fact that the future is not a thing that is just right there. It exists no matter what. The future is there for you to change it. So if I tell you that, oh, this person and you jive well together, there's a chance that you're gonna be like together for this whole lifetime, but you fuck it up, you cheat on your other half. Of course, it's not going to be 100% accurate, because you did something differently. So there is that. Next one, number 9. So number 9, tarot card reading is just for entertainment and no further use. Let me just... So in my career as a flesh tuber, I usually put a disclaimer on my videos that this pick a card reading is just for entertainment, blah blah blah. But that is usually just because I don't want people to do stupid things and blame it on the reading. Because they would interpret what I say in a wrong way and do something very drastic. I don't want that. So I kind of just want to protect myself. But tarot card reading is not all only for fun and games. If you have listened to my first discussion about the origins of tarot, it originated from a card game, like just a regular poker or pusoy or what are the other card games? Bridge. So it's kind of like that. It started out that way, but since we have already ascribed meanings to the cards and we have used it for divination, it's not just for entertainment anymore. For other people, looking into their future is entertaining. But again, I said earlier that you can use the cards to help you solve issues in your life. Even if you don't look into the future, you can like pull cards for yourself and look at what issues that you might need to look into. Some other people also use the cards for what do you call this? Meditational purposes. They meditate on the meanings of the card. Some other people would use the cards as placeholder for doing ceremonial magic. That's something that I don't really do, but I'm just saying that you can use it for that. So again, it's not just for entertainment. You can take away as much as you can from it. It's only entertainment if you want it to be just that. Number 10, there are good cards and bad cards. Oh my god. So, admittedly, there are cards that have a better connotation than others, but I don't think that the cards are inherently bad on their own. It's just how you interpret it. So the usual victims of these there are good cards and bad cards. One is the Tower and the Devil. Also, for good cards, we have the Sun and the Lovers. Sometimes the Fool as well, because like people see the card and see that, oh, it's so dark and things are burning. Oh, there's a devil in it, and they think that it's a bad card. But if we look into it, it's not the exact meaning. Like, it looks scary because the card might be challenging. And when I say challenging, I mean that you will have to work a little harder around it, but it's not necessarily a bad omen. Hold on. There are also people who think that reversed cards are bad. Reversed cards are not bad. They are just telling you that the original energy of the card, if it was upright, is blocked or reversed. It depends on how the reader would interpret it. But reversed cards, not bad. Not all the time. There are instances that they can warn you, though, of things that might happen that are bad. But again, we go back to the tarot telling the future. The future is not written in stone. It's written on the sand, and you can change it anytime. You have your free will again and again. So, in extension to this, number 11, death card means literal death. It doesn't. This is a trope that I hate so much because I've seen it a lot in movies, Hollywood movies to be exact. So the death card has a bad rep because of its name and how it looks like. So the death card looks like there is usually a skeleton, a grim reaper, And people think that if you pull this, someone's going to die, usually the querent. It's not the case. The death card just means, usually, in my experience, that something is about to end, a chapter of your life. And it's not going to be an all pleasant experience because change is hard, and this is a chapter. When you're seeing a death card, it means that it's a chapter that has to end for something new, something better to come into your life. So you can see this if you are, usually from my experience, you see this when someone is changing courses, changing careers, or like getting out of a toxic relationship, getting out of a toxic household, things like that. There can be other explanations of the death card. It just depends on the reader. I'm just telling you those, the ones that are the usual meanings. But yeah, death card rarely ever means literal death. Okay? It just means something is ending, something has to stop, and something new has to happen. You're entering a new phase in your life. Basically, that's what it means. So, if you're having a reading and someone pulls the death card on you, do not be alarmed, okay? And yeah, before we continue to the next part, which is starting out with tarot, which is going to be admittedly a shorter part of this stream. Do you have any questions, class? Let me just get my water while you're thinking about it. Hello, Aya. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Again, if you have like any questions, feel free to type it up and I will answer it as best as I can. Okay, let me just make a new what do you call this? Wait. Okay, we now move on to the next part, which is starting out. Hold on, let me just look for a better. Oh, wait. Beginning, tarot card, reading. So these are steps that I would usually advise someone who is interested in reading tarot cards for themselves and for their friends. Oh, I am a little better than last night. I don't have a fever anymore. I still feel kind of weird though. My throat is not as well as I wish it was. But yeah, I'm feeling a little bit better. But not really well enough to do a long Minecraft stream. Because I was planning to do this as a Minecraft while explaining stream. I didn't push through with that. Hello, good morning, Maury. We have just finished debunking tarot myths and misconceptions. Now we are at the how to start reading tarot cards, beginning tarot card reading. So the first one. Okay, let me just. So finding the right deck for you. So earlier, I discussed that you don't have to actually wait for someone to gift you a deck, because there are rumors and beliefs that the only way that you should start reading tarot cards is if a reader saw your potential and gifted you a tarot deck. And to that I say bullshit, because tarot decks are expensive. And you should go buy your own. And that is mostly because I think for you to be more interested in studying your deck, you have to be interested in the images that are inside of it. Now, when I say you have to be interested in the images inside of it, it's because there are different types of tarot decks. I know I have said that there is a system, there are always 78 cards. There are decks that include some bonus cards, but that's an outlier. That is not the usual. It's always 78, 22 for the major arcana, and 56 for the minor arcana. But the images inside are not always the same. Why? Because there are different creators of tarot card decks back then, and we base it on those. The most common ones are the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. It is the usual type of deck that you would see where there are people in most of the cards. Like even in the minor arcana, there are people there. So yes, there would be different art styles, different interpretations, but usually if you see people on the, what do you call this? People in the minor arcana, that is usually a Rider-Waite based deck. And although there are also decks that don't follow that, for example, I recently, well, not so recently, bought a fandom deck. It just basically shows images and scenes from 3 different books that represent the energy or the meanings of each card. So there is that, but usually there are the most common cards are the Rider-Waite deck. And hold on, let me just get images for you. Um, Copy image. Will this work? I don't think it does. Hold on, let me just save it then. Okay. So I will put it right here. So if you see this type of imagery, this is the major arcana of the Rider-Waite deck. As you can see, you have the Fool over there at the top left, the Magician, and the High Priestess, blah blah blah. So this is your basic, the the OG Rider-Waite tarot cards. Hold on, let me just get a sample of other cards that are based on this. What's the name of the deck I recently got? The Modern Witch Tarot. Hold on. Okay, this one would be as you can see, we're doing this ad hoc and I'm going to cover myself. Alright, so if you would look carefully, they are kind of similar. Look at the Fool card. They are similar, but the Fool on this Modern Witch card is a female or female presenting. Even the Magician, they are doing the same pose. They are wearing similar robes, but as you can see, the woman here in, well, the person here in the Modern Witch deck is a black woman with 2 space buns. So yeah, these are both Rider-Waite decks, or at least the left one is inspired by the Rider-Waite tarot deck. But not all cards are like this. So let me just show you the Marseille. Oh, hold on. It's not showing up so well. let me look for something that is kind of. Okay, let's work with this one. Now I'm going to take away the modern witch one. So as you can see, there are similarities, but they're not exactly the same. It's as if you take the same picture and then you ask two different artists to interpret it in their own art style. Basically, that's what's happening here. So now let's compare it to the Mersail deck. So the Mersail deck is, it kind of looks similar, but as you can see, the style is more medieval, very chunky, and the main difference is that for the Mersail deck, the minor arcana is just the pip cards are just, for example, six of cups. In Rider-Waite decks, you would usually see two children and six cups, and there would be flowers around. In a Mersail deck, you only get the six cups. Okay? So that is one of the major differences between these two types of decks. And yeah, it neither is better, like in terms of reading. It just depends on how you are going to use it, which one vibes with you more, which images do you actually like more. There's another popular deck, it's called the Thought Tarot. Hold on, let me just save this one and show it here real quick. So this one is made by Aleister Crowley. The imagery is hella different from the other two. I don't really use this one. I'm more of a Rider-Waite type of girl. So as you can see, the images are very, very different from your Rider-Waite. So let's just, for example, the Fool. This one looks like some sort of Vitruvian man, while the Fool over here in your Rider-Waite is like basically a jester figure with a dog and like a little rucksack hopping off to the edge of a cliff. So let's remove these. So what am I pointing to? So it's up to you which tarot card you would like to start with. But personally, if you don't really know what type of deck you would want to start with, I would suggest the Rider-Waite, because a lot of the information that you can find on the internet in books, they would be based on Rider-Waite type of cards. And the more information you have, the easier it is to study, right? But even if I say that I suggest you get a Rider-Waite type of deck, that doesn't mean that I'm telling you to get the original Rider-Waite type of deck, like that specific one that I showed earlier. So definitely not. I would suggest that you find a deck with an art style that you actually like, based on the Rider-Waite, because one, it would be easier to study it. There's a lot of information on it. Two, if you like the images, you are more likely to stare at it. You are more likely to connect with it. So that is finding the right deck for you. But here's the thing. I know there is a budget constraint, especially if you're young, you're a student, or you live in a country like mine, the Philippines, where, you know, decks are kind of expensive relatively. Because to us, let's say $25, how many meals will that mean for us? If you're in the United States, it's a different story. So to them, it might be a little cheap, but to us, the basic decks are still a little expensive for what it is. So yeah, if there are cards that are available that are on sale or someone is giving it away, there is no shame with starting with those cards. Again, the magic is not in the cards. It's in the tarot card reader. It's always up to you. So no matter what type of cards you use, it's just some sort of like more of a motivational thing. I think you get more motivated if you actually like the tools that you use. And for me, I started out with a regular Rider-Waite Smith deck, like the most basic kind. I think it's called the Universal Tarot deck. Let me just look for it. I think it's still available in. Is it the Los Carabeo? I think it is. Okay, I think it's this one. Yeah, it's definitely this one. This is the deck that I started out with. It's Los Carabeos Rider-Waite Tarot, and I still have it after more than a decade of use. It is very old now, like you can see the sides are dark, it's kind of soft, it doesn't really shuffle as well as it did when it was new, but it still works. And I chose this one mostly because it was the one that I could afford back then. Like, the more stylish decks back then were more expensive, and you can't really find a lot of tarot decks. It's hard to get them. I had to get mine at this new age shop in SM North, EDSA. They used to have like a new age shop like in front of, I think it's in front of National Bookstore. It doesn't exist anymore, that shop. But nowadays you can order a lot of tarot decks online, which is the bane of my existence, because if I see a pretty deck, if I can afford it, I might just blink and then it's already checked out. But yeah, buy what you can afford, buy what's available to you. If someone is kind enough to give you theirs, there's also no shame in that. Earlier, I said that you don't have to wait for someone to give you a deck of cards, but if they do, it's also perfectly fine to use that as your starter deck. And when I say starter deck, later on you will see that there are decks that vibe with your energy kind of, and those that do not. So over the course of time, you might get several decks and you might sell or give away decks that you can't really read with for some reason, and that's also okay. Let me just remove this. Hold on, what is this? Oh, that's Skyla again. Okay, number 2, finding information about the card meanings. So how do we know what these cards mean? Hold on, let me just get my Clip Studio. Number 2, card meanings. So usually, when you buy tarot cards, they come with a guidebook. So for example, the deck that I've shown you earlier, the Los Carabeo Rider-Waite Smith deck that I first bought, it came with a guidebook. It's a paperback. I don't know where it is anymore, but I started learning tarot through that. But now, there will be decks that have like smaller ones, like, you know, cheaper decks will have obviously smaller books with them, and that's okay as well, because you can find the meanings of the cards online. There are many different websites that give you tarot card meanings. If you Google a tarot card, like for example, you Google a reversed Queen of Cups, and then you go to images, you will find like cheat sheets of that, and that's an okay way to learn as well. So when it comes to card meanings, again, I am very much okay with learning on your own. It's also nice if you can find someone more knowledgeable than you, someone who has more experience to guide you. But that is not really necessary. If you can study on your own, you can do it. So a method that I suggest is that you get a notebook and then you try to pull cards for yourself every day. Like, I would suggest 1 to 3 cards. So if you get 1 card, that could signify your whole day. If you get 3 cards, that could signify your morning, midday, and evening. And then at the end of the day, you look at the cards that you pulled in the morning and then write about how they connected to the events that happened that day. So in a way, you are building a vocabulary with your cards that you can communicate with it. So for example, in the morning you pulled a, let's say, an ace of wands, and then you got an important text message or an email that is very important to your work. So in your tarot journal, you can write about that okay, to you, this card, the, what do you call this, the ace of wands can mean an email about work. So that would be a personal meaning for you. But also, I would also suggest that as you do that, you don't just write about the meaning that is, what happened to you that day. You also read up on the actual meanings of the cards so you can combine those. So what is the actual meaning of the ace of wands? It could be like the beginning of action, like something new, a new work, a new, it can be a project, anything like that. So you just research for the meaning and then experience the meaning and then journal it, so that when you are doing readings, you have a bank of answers wherein if you forgot what this specific card means, you can go back to your notes and then look for the meaning of it. And also, what I think helps is that you're actually writing it with your hands, because when we are learning, okay, teacher BB coming out here, when you are learning, the more senses that are involved, the easier it is for you to learn. So if you're just reading it, that's just one of your 5 physical senses. But if you're writing, so there's a motor thingy involved there, so that's another thing. And since you're also writing about your experiences, your emotions are tapped, it's easier to ascribe meaning, it's easier to remember. That is why I suggest a tarot journal wherein you would pull 1 card every day and then you write about it. Also, okay, let's move on. So I've discussed books, internet, and personal meanings. Let's write them down. Books, internet, personal meanings. All right, number 3. So now that you have your cards, you also have the meanings. You might get into a little bit of a stump about reversals. So what do reversals mean? So basically, you have your card and it's upright, right? But if you shuffle it like I do, I let it like just tumble here and there, and I make it so that some of them are upright, some of them are reversed. You don't really have to read reversed cards. So again, tarot is a very personal thing. It's all personal preference and practices. You can read reversals. You can also choose not to. There is no right or wrong way. Personally, I do read reversals because it gives you like almost double the amount of meanings. Since you have your upright meanings, you also have your reversed meanings. And then when you combine those cards with each other, an upright card and a reverse card, again, the meanings would change depending on the other cards. And that's another thing that I would like to include: card meanings, um, card combinations. So, not all the time you will be reading with just one card. You don't just read one card on its own. You have to also look at the cards that are around it, which is why we will be discussing spreads later on. But let's work with combinations. Like, for example, you have two cards. Individually, they mean something on their own, but if you combine them, they can form a more precise meaning or a different form of meaning. So, for example, let's say I get, wait, let's just let's just take from an actual example of something that I've read that is kind of funny. Um, so I have this friend, and she was dating this girl, and this girl is basically bad news, like cheating on her and just basically psychotic moves, stalking, fighting everyone who ever talks to her. Well, everyone except me. She's afraid of me. But when I read her cards, my cards gave me, I think it was 5 or 7 of Swords. Let me just try to remember. I think it was the 7 of Swords and the 6 of Pentacles. So 7 of Swords usually talks about lies, stuff like that, deception, unfairness, arguments, basically being dishonest. And then if you would look at 6 of Pentacles, you would see, wait, let me just describe the imagery first. So the 7 of Swords, you have this person taking away 4 swords and leaving 3 behind, and he's like looking very shadily behind him, like he's stealing something. And then the 6 of Pentacles, you have this man holding a weighing scale and then giving money to people who are kneeling on the ground. So you basically just assume that they're poor. So individually, they mean that the first card is about lies, deception, blah, blah, blah. And then the 6 of Pentacles usually talks about receiving money, or like it's a reward, like something that you don't really have to work for right now because you already earned it before and now you're reaping the rewards. It could also mean shared wealth, or it could mean that someone is getting an inheritance. Many different interpretations. But when I looked at those 2 cards together, I just knew it that my cards are being sassy and calling her a lying, cheating whore. And I'm just like, bestie, I don't know how to say this, but my cards just called your girlfriend a lying, cheating whore. And she's like, yeah, you're right. So yeah, card combinations, very, very fun, interesting, exciting, because you get more accurate and detailed meanings based on card combinations. I swear, there are just card decks that are more like, it's easier to get the meaning from them, like without the sugarcoating. Let's go to the last one, which is spreads. Okay. So when you are beginning tarot card reading, you would begin with single cards because you're still trying to get the meaning of each individual cards. But then later on, you will see that this limits you, so you have to work with spreads. Spreads just mean that, you have like a setting of like, you put this card here and this will mean this. Let me just get you examples of spreads that I have. Where did I put that? Tarot spreads. Okay, so for example, here is, okay, well, wait, that's kind of, let me just, put it in OBS instead. So this spread is called the Celtic cross. There are many different variants of this. There are different ways to make a Celtic cross, but it generally looks like this shape. There is a cross, and then there may be or they may not be other cards to the side or underneath it, but what's important is that it kind of looks like a cross. That's why it's called the Celtic cross. And the card meanings, you usually have an ascribed meaning per position. So, for example, the card one, as you can see, the one in the middle, is where you are at right now. But again, you can do this any other way. You can make spreads of your own. So, this is one spread that I tend to use a lot when it comes to reading for my clients, mostly because it suffices in analyzing one main topic, because it tells you where you're at right now, what are the challenges, the things that you need to focus on, and it also touches on the past and the future, what you should do, and possible outcomes. There are extended versions of this wherein you have more cards to the right, but this is like the basic one that I would usually do. And another spread that I like using is the zodiac spread. So it kind of looks like this. There's a card in the middle, and there are 12 cards going around it. This is a simplified version of it. It's based on an astrological wheel or a birth chart wheel. So each of the houses that is in an astrological wheel is represented by a card. So, for example, your first house is here. The card there represents yourself. So that means physically, your confidence, anything that is about you. And then for number 2, that's where your money matters. Basically, you employ astrology principles in reading the cards. So this is one that I like to use, especially during New Year. I also call this the New Year spread because that's when it's most appropriate, but you can get this type of reading any time of the year. It's just that a lot of people would like to have this type of reading. It's very extensive when it's New Year because they want to have a look ahead of their year. Let me just delete that. There are much more simpler spreads. One simple spread that I like using is a 3-card spread. So the 3-card spread, it can be interpreted in many different ways. So some people would use it as a past, present, future. So you have each card for that. Some people would use it as body, mind, soul. So you have one card for each of those aspects of you. There are also people, and when I say people, I mean me, who use it for yes-no questions. So how do I do the yes-no questions? Usually, when I do the yes-no questions, I pick 3 cards, and depending on how many of them are upright, that would tell me on how likely is it to be yes or how likely is it to be a no. Yes, Mopo. It's going to be short. Actually, we started at 9 a.m. It's almost 11 now. We're almost about to end. I'm not quite sure what is wrong with my... Let me just check it. I have not really changed my settings, but I'm not sure what is different. Hello? Oh, I think it's... Yeah, this is my regular setting. I don't know why it sounds very echoey today. So anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, spreads. So When you begin reading tarot, I suggest that you start with simpler spreads like a 1 card reading or a 3 card reading. And as you get better with card meanings and combinations, that's the time that I would suggest you experiment with larger spreads like a Celtic cross or the one that I've shown you earlier, an astrological wheel. Uh, yeah, so there's that. Anyway, before we move on to the closing of this stream, are there any questions about tarot card reading in general? Hold on, while y'all are typing, I'm just looking at. Oh, Radio Man just retweeted my link. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hold on, let me just check the other socials while I let you type up anything. Oh, does the spread affect the accuracy of the reading? I think I have discussed earlier that the accuracy of the reading depends on the reader's experience, or some of us, it depends really. Because there are readers who are like, they don't really have that much experience with reading, but they are highly intuitive, meaning their clairsenses are more opened or attuned, so they will get more intuitive hits or downloads, so that could bring in more accuracy. But for the spread, it is important to pick a spread that is appropriate for the reading that you are making. So, for example, if I have a yes no type of question, I would not pull out my astrological wheel spread. Um, in the same vein, if I get a love related question, I might bring out a love spread, like a spread that I made specifically for love readings, because it would be easier to diagnose the situation that way. Anything else, my darlings? Hold on. Mopo, no, that's a different thing. Shh, bad. Oh, requests. Right now we are taking in questions. For a tarot card reading from me, I would wait. Let me just get my rates because I do have it typed down somewhere. I'm just not sure where I put it, but I do have my rates. Let's see. I think it's in my downloads. Basically, let me just look for it real quick. Okay, I found it. So here are my rates. Now my rates are going to be like different from other tarot card readers. We all have different rates. Some would charge much lower or much higher. Like I've seen people charging up to $800 to $1,000 per reading, but those are like the very, very in-demand famous ones who have made books and TV appearances. I've also seen people who charge like $2 or $4, like the ones in Quiapo. The rates doesn't really indicate the accuracy, but I would highly suggest you get a reading from someone who already has like a thumbs up from someone else. Because, like, for example, if you go to Capo, I've done it like 2 or 3 times. None of them ever read my cards properly. Like, I think one of the common themes that they've been telling me is that, oh, you have to take great care about this and that because you might be pregnant and blah blah blah. The man will leave you, blah blah blah. Hello, what man? So yeah, needless to say, that was not really a good reading. I think they were just spouting random things that came to their mind because up to now, I I have not. I don't think I will be pregnant anytime soon. So yeah, here are my rates for 3 card readings. As you can see, there are two different rates. The first one is for an email reading. Like, I will send you your reading through email, or usually I would just give you a Google Doc. For the second one, this one is a live reading, meaning I will have to call you through Discord or I don't know, just this Facebook. Well, no, no, just Discord. So I'll call you through Discord and read for you. So for a 3 card reading, that would be either $8 or $10. 3 tarot cards and 2 oracle cards. I have discussed the difference of tarot and oracle cards earlier. 10 or 13 for a Celtic cross. This is intended for like a bigger subject. Like, for example, you want to know about your love life in general. Well, not really, because like I have a separate spread for that. For a general Celtic cross, it would be something like for your career or for your, let's say, school. You know, it's a general reading, not really one specific question. For the specific questions, I would suggest the 3 cards or 3 tarot to oracle cards. For like a general reading, like a diagnosis, I would suggest the Celtic cross. For the love spread, it would be either 20 or 25. The New Year spread, or the one that I've shown you earlier, the one with 12 cards around it and one in the middle, that would be 25 to 32 or $32. But you can also do by the hour reading. So 30 minutes is $25. It will be done through Discord. It's going to be a voice call. If you exceed 30 minutes, every 30 minutes would be 25, but I am going to give discounts for readings longer than 30 minutes. So instead of 50, an hour reading could be like 45. So there's going to be a $5 discount, something like that. But yeah, these are just my rates. In no way do my rates reflect other people's tarot card reading rates, because I have a friend who has like, I don't know, who charges like $1 or $2 per reading. And I'm like, babe, please don't do that. It's too low. But yeah, it just depends on how comfortable you are when it comes to rates of reading, because someone asked me about it. Aya, so we have a common friend with Aya. She's a friend that we also met through Twitter, and she also reads tarot cards, and she asked me about tarot card rates, and I told her that it's something that shouldn't feel like you're doing charity work. Like, it shouldn't feel like you're underselling yourself, but at the same time, it should be an amount of money you are comfortable with receiving. So it's just an appraisal of your own time and energy. Hello, Eagle. Hi, hi, hi. So, yes, I can see that there is a plot to fry Mopo in my chat. Let me just go back to my just chatting screen. So yeah. Oh, last night, I'm not sure if y'all are there, but I've seen a lot of you in Magandara stream being thirsty. I I do appreciate it, but please be mindful to not really overtake someone else's stream with talks about me. Like, I do appreciate that you remember me even when you're not in my stream, but the other streamer where you are watching might not be so comfortable. It just so happened that Magindara is also my friend, so she didn't mind, and they were talking about Abakunawa. So I came up in the discussion because they were doing Smash or Pass, and apparently a lot of them, when they heard the word Bakunawa, they thought of me, and they were like, definitely Smash. Hi, hello, Tan. You were a little late, and I was just wrapping up my little educational stream. We talked about beginning tarot card reading and tarot myths. Anyway, you can view my VODs. I don't really erase them. At the same time, if Twitch does delete them, because after 14 days, I think you. Oh, thank you for the sub, Aya, honey. You didn't have to, but thank you so much. I appreciate that. What was I saying? I forgot what I was saying. I keep on getting distracted easily. So yeah, if you are interested in what we talked about, my VODs will be up for 14 days here, and after that, they will still be up on my YouTube channel, which you all should subscribe to. Just look for BB Bakunawa on YouTube. You should be able to find me. And you might wonder why I have like almost 1,000 subs on YouTube. I need to confess that I recycled my YouTube from my flesh tubing days. I actually used to upload videos of me doing pick a card readings as a flesh tuber. Like, I used to show my face. But since I wanted to do other types of content as well, I decided to become a VTuber because that gives me more leeway to do things that will not be possible if I was showing my face. I don't really want my students to randomly find me online on YouTube and be like, hey, is that our teacher? And I would be talking about things like coconuts and simping on two-dimensional characters. Oh, thank you. Thank you for plugging my YouTube. Yes, please, everyone, please click the link. That is my YouTube. I mostly just upload the VODs there because, yeah, Twitch deletes the VODs after 14 days. And yes, anything else that anyone would like to ask before we go ahead and look for someone to raid? Thank you, thank you. Ah, yes, I see Aya with your emote privileges. So, yes, if you would like to support me, you can do that by following my YouTube, sharing my links. I would like to thank everyone for showing up this early morning. What else? Share my Twitch to people that you know, like your friends, your parents, your siblings, your neighbors, and your enemies even. Oh, when did I start falling for aliens, and why is it the doctor? I think, wait, when did I first start? I think it was like maybe 7 or 8 years ago that I started watching Doctor Who. I'm not quite sure about the timeline because, yes, timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly thingies. So I forgot what year it was. And I was just looking for a series to watch to fill in the void inside of me. And apparently Doctor Who is a great way to do that. And yeah, I think I got hooked on it because I've always been interested in aliens, extraterrestrial life in general, because I personally believe that there are actually aliens. It's just that they might not be what we imagine they are. Like, maybe there are extraterrestrial life, but they're not like, the talking humankind. Maybe there are plants and animals. Or maybe they are too advanced and think that we suck, so they don't contact us. But the thing is, I do believe that the universe is too wide for us to actually win the life lottery. Just us. That's like more rare than actually winning an actual lottery. But yeah, so since I'm interested in space, I was actually a nerd when I was a child. I really read a lot of encyclopedias because we didn't have internet back then. So yeah, you can tell that I'm old. So that made me interested in science and space in general. But Doctor Who really brought brought it like, this is it. With the plots are very I don't know how to say it, it's emotionally engaging. Like they make you really care about these people. And I don't want to say I don't want to tell anyone spoilers, just in case anyone in my chat has not watched it yet and is planning to do so. But I think I got invested in it, like really, really invested in it, uh, after Rose. Because, like, yes, I was invested in Rose, but Donna is kind of. Also, the puns. I love those characters. Like, Rose is pretty and her arc is nice, but I think I got more emotional damage with Donna and, yes, Rory and Amy Pond, and consequently, River Song. River Song, oh my god. And who else? But basically, those are the characters that really clung to me. Like I'm not even like attracted to them, but like I was invested the way that you would be invested in your friends. Like you just want them to be happy, you know, and you know how much they struggled about. I can't really give. I can't give the details because I don't want to spoil people. Oh, 11, 11. Pain. So much pain with 11. I think that's why I didn't really get that invested with 12 and Clara. It's because I was still mourning 11 and I had to watch the 12 and I'm like, no, I'm not over it. I haven't really finished the girl doctor yet, mostly because it's, I don't know, the attack is different. I think they might have different writers, and also I think it's the appeal of like having less budget but delivering good stories that appealed to me with the first few seasons. Yes, Peter is actually really good, but I was just like really mourning 11. That's why I didn't get emotionally invested with him as much as I did with 10 and 11. Now I'm just like gushing about Doctor Who. I don't want to spoil things because I have friends here who watch Doctor Who with me and they are still in Christopher Eccleston's. Yes, Matt and his non-existent eyebrows. I love him. Anyway, what was I saying? Hi, Aya. You are enjoying those emojis really well. I'm glad. Yes, no eyebrows. No eyebrows and a fast hat. Really cool. Anyway, I think it's way past 11. I was supposed to only stream for 2 hours, but I got a little carried away. So thank you for everyone who stayed with me. And I hope to see you soon. Tomorrow, I think I will be playing Final Fantasy with Moshi Vienna. It's a weekly thing. We are going to explore Eorza at around 8 in the evening. I'm not really sure what we're going to do, but the last time that we played, we just roamed around Limsa Luminsa and swam naked. to be fair, we were Lalafell, so it's not really, you know, PG. Oh, wait. Raid message. I don't have that, like, yeah, I'm not really good with technology because I am a boomer. So I don't know how to install that or like program that yet. But our raid message would be Bakunawa raid, and we are raiding. Let's look. Let's see who is online. Oh, Q is online. Rem is also online. I think we should go to Remy just to, you know, check him out. Remy is playing Dead by Daylight, and he is a science VTuber. I think his content is supposed to be organic chemistry. I'm not really sure about chemistry because that is not a strong point of mine. But right now he is playing Dead by Daylight. We're going to raid him. Our raid message is Bakunawa raid. You may use my what do you call this, emote of raid if you have access to it. Let's get ready. Okay, so that would be all for today. Au revoir, annyeong, adios, sampai jumpa, zaijian, sayonara, paalam, bibi, bye bye. Raid starts now.